Hello again from Skip, Victor Echo 6, Bravo, Golf Tango. Some of you know that I'm a bit of a fanatic when it comes to big dishes, so this is a bunch of pictures that I've collected. When we go on a vacation or any kind of trip, I always try to schedule around a location where there might be a big dish. This is kind of a slight summation of what I've done so far. There's still lots of them out there. I don't know if I'll ever see them all in my lifetime. So this is the first observatory I've ever seen. Is in Penticton, British Columbia. And in 2002, I've been here a couple of times now, so you'll see the difference. This dish is 85 feet in diameter, and back in 2002, it was showing wear and tear. So you'll see in the newer pictures on the next episode that they've spent some money on it, clean things up. Anyways, I'll just go through pictures here, and I won't talk. This is what they call their synthesis telescope array. I think back then there was only 4 or 5 dishes. I believe now today I think there's 7 of them. Inside the old control room was some of the racks of old gear, old equipment. I love the old stuff like this. It makes it look impressive. I'll jump ahead a few years and you can see how they've cleaned up the big dish. It doesn't look old, rusty and scrotty, and I think they've given it a clean coat of paint also. It looks much better. What's new also to the site is the chime telescope array, we'll call it. I covered this in an early video in detail, so I'm not going to go into it much here, but itself was very impressive, and I was always enjoyed looking at this thing, especially all the cabling. I can't imagine the man hours put into this thing to build this together. So staying on the Canadian side of the border, this was one of the other ones I've seen up in northern Ontario. This big dish is 151 feet in diameter, if I remember right. And I do believe it's a sister dish to the Parkes radio telescope in Australia. I do believe Australia, though, has enlarged their dish, so it's going to be bigger. When I took these pictures back in 2015, it was being operated by an independent company, an individual, and like any old dish, it needs some TLC. You can see there's a lot of rust on this old girl. The feed enclosure is quite large in this thing, and if I recall, I've been told by a few operators that use this thing back in, I don't remember one for EME work, that you actually crawl right inside this enclosure. That's how large it is. It looks like quite a contraption. I never noticed this before until I made this video, but I noticed on the center of the dish there on that hub, there's some kind of a high-frequency Aggie bolted to it facing straight up. That's interesting. The elevation gearing on this big beast is quite something to look at also. I imagine there's also a lot of counterweight in that part of it there. It takes a lot to lift something this big. Inside the dish house itself, there's a big monster bearings on the floor. They must have to replace something here at one time. Looks like they had to cut them out with a cutting torch, which wouldn't surprise me. These things are massive. And back inside, not only do I like big dishes, but I like lots of 19-inch racks. I was enjoying myself looking at all this stuff, the different control systems and all that. And then this twist of cables for the azimuth part of the dish, so the things can get twisted around and not get tangled. Quite impressive. Anyways, it was a neat dish to visit. It's an impressive old thing, and really worth going out in the middle of nowhere to visit. And it is out in the middle of nowhere. No place to stay, so we were able to organize a tour of the place, and we stayed overnight in the facility. And the ambiance of the place is just like stepping back into the 60s. It's really quite a thrill. There was an in-house library with all sorts of technical manuals and stuff to look at, and what I found was this old diagram for a space telescope, and I think this kind of predated the Hubble, so that was impressive. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. So next is the impressive VLA, or the Very Large Array in New Mexico, USA. I've been here twice now, and I still say this is one of my favorite places on the planet. As we drove west from Socorro, New Mexico, This is what we ran into, just nothing but fog, and it got worse and worse, but later on afternoon it did clear up. My second trip to the VLA was much nicer weather, and they got way better pictures, so I'm going to show more of them. But I run into this fellow. His name is Jonathan. He's KC5 November Tango Whiskey, John, and he gave me an inside tour of the place. So the first trip was very exciting just because of that. So we got into some places where normally you wouldn't, and enjoyed it. The second trip was a lot more enjoyable. Weather was a lot nicer, and we came from the west, so we got a different aspect of the location just from driving from that direction, and it was impressive. Needless to say, it's hard to believe that these dishes are that far away, but they look so small, but they're big. So it was cool. I hope to get there again someday. Every time I go there, I've taken literally hundreds of pictures. I got just files and files of great shots, different angles from this place, and it's really something to see. The big one here, you can walk right up to it, practically right underneath it, and what was really thrilling this time, while I was standing there watching this darn thing, they started to move it. Actually, they moved about 4 or 5 of them all at the same time, and you hear the brake come off and you hear the motor start up. I was excited. As I said, I got just literally hundreds of pictures, so I'm just going to plug a bunch in here and just let them go by and let you enjoy them. Next is the pair of twin dishes just outside of Lyons, Colorado. I've been here a couple of times. I don't really remember what they were used for originally. I think something to do with atmospheric studies with the government. And this is the original home of the DSES, or the Deep Space Exploration Society. It started here with Paul Burge, and he's the ham I met who showed me this beautiful setup. Paul took me up inside the dish. We went up to a trapdoor through a crawl space to just below the surface amongst all the ironwork. Showed me the mechanisms for the elevation drive, and it's quite impressive to be right up there amongst all that to see it all, and I was beside myself. Only bad thing about this location was it's in a designated quiet zone, so there's no transmitting allowed. Where DSES is situated now is way east of Denver. They can transmit out there, so it's a better location. Inside the building, just below the upper dish, lots of goodies. Quite a nice lab of some test gear and stuff like that. And I thought I'd just throw this in here to show the logo up there for the DSES Boys Now. This next big dish is a real beauty, located just outside of Stanford, California. This dish is owned and operated by the Stanford University in California, and it's 150 feet in diameter. You can't drive to it. There is a paved road, but it's closed, and it's more for hiking and walking and that sort of thing. But I got special permission, and we were able to get up to it, and, well, we had a good time. What's unique about this dish is the whole structure rotates on a track, the control room and everything. We went for a bit of a ride while we were there, and like I say, I was thrilled. Like I said before, I took hundreds of pictures of these dishes, so I'm just going to let them scroll. Some of these pictures you can see off in the distance, actually San Francisco. That's a fair distance, so it's got some elevation. This radio telescope site was a bit of a disappointment. We meant to have a tour at the place. We missed by one day, so we didn't get to see much, but I always still got some pictures, and it's still worth including. It was still a nice place to look at, so that's one more. And next is one of the better ones, the Radio Astronomy Observatories at Green Bank, West Virginia. We drove to the location here at Green Bank. We came from Washington, D.C., the capital, and it was a gorgeous drive. West Virginia has just got gorgeous trails and trees, and the closer we got, the bigger the dish got. So we stayed overnight at a ski resort in that area, then went to the site the next day, and thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Lots to look at. There's a real beautiful tourist attraction in there. We decided to walk to the big dish. You can take a bus, but then you're restricted to timing and all that. So we decided to walk. It was a nice walk. Really quite warm, the smell of the trees and all that. So we walked along, and the big dish got closer and closer and closer, and we finally got there. You weren't allowed to take any pictures because they were worried about interference from digital cameras, but when we got there, I could tell it wasn't a problem because they were mowing the grass with a whole lawnmower that brings a scrap iron lawnmower engine, and there's guys hanging off the dish on ropes, so they were doing maintenance on it or something like that. So it was a concern, but I didn't waste any time taking pictures. So I took some and then hid away the camera. I didn't want to get in trouble. Anyways, it was a gorgeous sight. What's great about Green Bank is if you're a collector of dishes like I am, trying to find big dishes, this place is full of them. On the trail down to the big one, there's all these other ones along the way with all sorts of different feeds and stuff. Some of these are just bizarre to me, so here's a few more to look at. So we made it back to the tourist information place, and there's these two nice models in there, which kind of gave me the inspiration for the one I built. Then, of course, we had to take the inside tour, and the fellows who worked there showed us some of the gear they were working on, and yeah, it was way over my head, but I still enjoyed myself. Most of the people who live and work in Green Bank area are amateur radio operators because it's a quiet zone, so they can't have cell phones or stuff like that. So 2 meters is allowed. So I saw a lot of 2 meter vehicles floating around with license plates and stuff like that. So it was good to see. And of course, I got my usual dose of 19-inch racks, and you can tell I was happy with the grin on my face. So it was a great tour and a great place to visit. I'd recommend it to anybody to take the time, take a special effort to go see this place. It's well worth it. This next one isn't a real big dish, but it's well worth mentioning, I think. This is the Voice of America, Bethany Station. It's a museum that's located just south of Dayton, and the dish there was used one time for a downlink station, I guess, but now it's being used by the local hams for 10 gigahertz. It's a very good sized dish, so it's I think it's well worth mentioning in the collection of big dishes here, I think. Besides the dish, which is impressive in itself, the museum has a lot of other good things to look at also. Really good. It was quite a transmitter in its day, and looking at all the consoles and goodies like that is well worth it if you ever get a chance to go there. And plus there is more 19-inch racks, so I was happy. It was well worth looking at. Well worth including it in the list. Okay, this is the last one. I think I'll leave it to the last because I think is the best. I guess there are three Deep Space Network installations. This is one of them. This is just north of Barstow, California, and lots of dishes. Being it's a government installation like this and all that, of course we're not American citizens, so we had to, get special permission and scheduling and all that stuff. But it was well worth it. And went to they have a nice tourist installation there to look at all the goodies, more small model dishes. But we went on it's more like a driving tour because these dishes are scattered all over the desert. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think it was like either a 15 or 20-mile loop we had to do. And we just drove around, and there's a girl with us showing us the sights and stuff like this. And we went around and had a look at the dishes. So here's some shots. I'm not going to try and describe each one of these because I don't recall what they all are. Different uses, different locations, and if you're really interested, get online because I'm sure it's all on there. But I just wanted to share the pictures because it's really a neat place. I kind of like this dish because it had the little dish on the side. What's it for? Who knows? But it's cute. This is the big impressive one. It's at this site. It's what's called a Mars station, and its diameter is 70 meters or 230 feet, and it's a big one. I guess it's the main one they transmit with to do the deep space communications with Mars and who knows what else. But it's a big one. I like these signs. I think I have to make these up for my place. Hang them outside there. Kind of neat. And I thought I had a grin on my face before. Now, look at this. Look at this equipment. I went crazy. In fact, there's a couple of things in here that I was looking at. It gave me a lot of ideas for my place. For those of you who know me, does this look kind of familiar? This is a sign you don't see very often. I forgot to mention earlier, this whole installation is on a military base. So that was the Goldstone installation of the big dishes. And of course, you talk about Goldstone, you got to talk about JPL. We organized our next trip to California, Pasadena, and took in the JPL labs. Okay, there's no dishes there. Not big ones, anyways. Okay, my fascination for small model dishes, and again, looking at these gave me the idea for doing mine. I couldn't help myself. I mean, they're just too cute. But there's lots to see at this place. It's quite an installation. I was really impressed by this. Look at the monitors. Oh man, I just had a grin on my face from ear to ear. So that pretty well wraps it up. There's one more little dish that doesn't really fall in the same category as the other ones, but I just thought it was so darn cute. And this is at the White Sands missile test range in New Mexico, I think it was. So I just love the little dishes. So I had to add it on to this bunch. So that was my collection of big dishes and little ones. Believe it or not, there's a couple that I just couldn't find in my pictures. I got them stored away somewhere, if you can believe that one. Anyways, thanks for watching. 73s again from Skip, Victor Echo 6, Bravo, Golf Tango for now.